Hello, my name is Melanie Monique, the Informist of Multiplying for the Master. Today I'm going to share with you 7 practical pointers anyone can use to become an effective speaker. Today we're going to focus on pace, pronunciation, pathos, pitch, pauses, place, and posture. That's right. These are the 7 key areas that if you begin to implement the pointers that I'm going to share with you, you will become an effective and, dare I say, dynamic speaker with just a little practice. Let's start with pace. So many of us have heard people who speak too quickly or speak too slowly. Well, either end of the spectrum is not the best for effective communication. You want to make sure you pay attention to keep your speaking at a nice, even pace. When you speak too quickly, it doesn't allow your listener to connect the dots of what you're saying. They might get overwhelmed and your speech may sound confused. And if you speak too slowly, you run the risk of losing the interest of your listeners, and you also may sound unsure or confused. So remember, keep your pace nice and steady. The next thing we're going to talk about is pronunciation. It is so important to move your teeth and tongue. I've been doing this for many years, so it's very easy for me, but many of us are locked up in our mouth area. So you need to practice moving your teeth and your tongue to effectively pronounce your words. Oh, and another pointer. If you're not sure how the word is pronounced, look it up in a dictionary. And what's even cool nowadays is you can go online and hear the proper pronunciation of a word. This helps you to speak with clarity, and your listener will understand what you're saying, and you won't sound like you're unlearned. Number 3, pitch. The pitch of our voice talks about a tonal quality which is either high, mid-level, or low. Let's start low. I'm going to give you an example. Does anyone remember Barry White? His voice was very, very low. It reminds you of some of the older men. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a low-pitched voice, except you have to be sure to speak clearly and slowly enough that your listeners can understand what you're saying, because the lower tone voices can sound warbled. Also, you want to avoid having a very high-pitched voice. Like this? Have you ever met someone who talks with a really high-pitched voice? It's actually irritating to the ears, not necessarily because you don't like high-pitched sounds, but because the way the human ear is made, it is more comfortable with mid to low-pitched voices and other sounds. So, if you have a high-pitched voice, you want to practice sinking your voice lower in your chest. And you want to make sure to speak clearly as well. So if it's low, speak clearly and articulate, and even bring it up a little bit higher in your throat. And if it's high, let your voice sink lower into your chest and continue to speak with clarity. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite, and that's pathos. That means you're going to actually speak as if you're interested in what you're talking about. Allow your voice to feel a range of emotion, or whether should I say express a range of emotion. We've all heard that monotone teacher who sounds like this and is trying to get you to pay attention to what they're saying. Absolutely not. You want to say anything you're worth saying with passion, pathos, emotion. This technique keeps your listener engaged and feeling what you're saying. It's very important, especially when it comes to persuasive speaking. For instance, those who are in sales, or even a mother like myself trying to convince my child that my way is actually the best way. So that is pathos. Now, I want to talk about pauses. Pauses are so effective for 3 reasons. 1, they give you a chance to stop, breathe, swallow, and think about where you are while you're speaking to your listeners. 2, it allows your listeners to have a moment to process what they've just heard. And lastly, pauses can be really used to have a dynamic effect, a dramatic effect in a speech, because it will say that you have confidence and power, especially if you pause with intention for up to 5 seconds. Don't try that all at once. Pause in 1 to 2 second increments before you become efficient in the use of pauses in your speech, and then build up to that dramatic pause of 5 seconds. Next, we want to talk about place. Now, there are 2 things that I'm talking about when I mention place. The number 1 thing is, where are you placing your voice? It is very important that you don't talk from your throat. 1, you will wear that tender organ out, becoming hoarse and experiencing stress in your vocal cords. So you want to make sure that you are speaking from your diaphragm. It's very important to breathe. And just like in singing, you take an inhalation in, and then when you exhale, your speaking or proper speaking happens when you exhale. It keeps the vocal cords from being weary, and it keeps you from sounding strained. The second thing that I mean about place is, where are you placing your voice in the room? Now, if you're in an intimate conversation and it's just you and a few others, or you and your lover, you don't want to be talking like this. They will think something is very wrong. And conversely, if you're speaking in a large group or in a large room, you don't want to sound like this, because no one will hear you. So it's very important to consider how you are placing your voice in your body and how you are placing your voice in the room. And lastly, we're going to talk about posture. Now, posture has nothing to do with the sound of your voice, but it does affect the way your voice sounds. I want to keep you in an upright posture. Your head shouldn't be tilted too high, because that strains the vocal cords. And it also shouldn't be tilted too low, because that constricts and constrains the free flow and the free use of your vocal cords. So I want to encourage you to have a level head, an upright posture, and remember, it does make a difference in the way you sound. Now, those 7 practical pointers you can start practicing today, and I guarantee you, you will become an effective speaker. If you would like more information on vocal culture, you can find me at multiplyingforthemaster.com, or you can even find me on Tuesdays at the Refinement Room on Facebook. So that would be facebook.com/The Refinement Room. I'm Melanie Monique, the Informist, and thank you for allowing me to inform you on 7 practical pointers to make anyone an effective speaker. Be blessed.